I learned that hope's everything. Like when you're pushed in every way to the end of your rope and you discover you're really alone in this world, really you are, without hope, everything goes. So it was Friday the 30th of September, and I was sitting at my computer, and this pain out of nowhere just turned on in my neck. First thing I thought was, I'm gonna die. Pretty soon I discovered that at 25 I was gonna have open heart surgery. When they opened my chest, they were horrified to find blood everywhere. The aorta had burst totally through every wall. But I didn't die in 3 minutes, and doctors later explained to me, the doctor was like, you're so unlucky what happened to you, but you're so lucky the way it happened. What had happened was my aorta had burst and filled up this like cavity in my chest, which never happens. And it had contained it for 2 days. And he goes, it was just the place that it tore, the way it tore, how it held. That next night when I wake up, I remember my parents being there, and then the next day, I was out of intensive care. So 2 days after the operation, I was in a cardiac ward. But they seemed to think that I was going to be out in 7 days. But what happened was, I was in the cardiac ward for like 4 or 5 hours, and they discovered that my oxygen levels were dropping. So they rushed me back into intensive care 2 days after, and they discovered that both my lungs had a lot of fluid on them. My right lung had completely collapsed. It filled up with 1.5 liters of fluid. The other one had not partially collapsed. So they spent that night trying to revive me. So I spent all night getting treated. My parents come the next day, and the doctors basically tell them, it doesn't look like I'm gonna make it, but I was probably gonna die. And so the doctors literally told my parents, like, there's not much we can do, we've tried everything. So my dad gets this weird feeling in his hands and goes, can I pray for him? And so they're like, go ahead. So he walks in and he finds me lying on my stomach in this coma. And they start praying for me. And my sister came in as well. And no joke, within an hour, beyond like all medical comprehension, my oxygen levels went from like 10% to like 98%. And the doctors couldn't believe it. All day, doctors from all around the hospital, different areas, were coming in to check the stats of this miracle kid. And that to me represents like miracle number 2, like the aorta not killing me. And then my parents praying for me and my oxygen coming back. But basically over the next 8 days, I didn't improve one bit. It's always hard to get this bit across because this is the bit where it's like I gave up on living. Okay. About a week after my dad went home to rest my family after visiting me, and he's the only one I think that noticed to the extent and had the guts to say it out loud, but he could tell that I was going like in here, and in here I was really starting to fade away. And he was right. I'd never been so low in my entire life, and I really had given up. I started surrendering, started giving into this idea that I was going to die. The doctors didn't know what was happening. They were experimenting, and they honestly couldn't figure out how to fix my lungs. I'm in rapid decline. My sister and brother are there, and I can't look at them, I can't talk to them, I barely respond to anything they're saying. I can't keep going. I've kind of, at this point, decided this is the end, So I put my iPod in, I crank it to 100%, and all I do is focus on my breathing. After about 15 minutes, my eyes are closed. Strange thing starts happening. My mind these thoughts start appearing in my mind. You're not gonna make it, you're gonna die, give up, it's over. All this horrible stuff. I was so weak and I was under attack from something. And it wasn't me, I wasn't imagining these thoughts. It's hard to explain. I'd given up hope, And at that point, when I was at lowest, I felt this other set of thoughts come in, almost like a question presented to my mind. It's like, Joel, you got my attention. You know this is you dying and giving up, right? And I was like, who said that? I was like, yeah, I'll admit that. What do you want me to do about it? Joel, have you prayed once? And I was like I'm a Christian, but I hadn't prayed once. But it was like all of a sudden I had this clarity, I was like having this conversation with somebody. And it was like I had peace for the first time in like a week and a half. The next question was, Joel, do you believe God can heal and save you? And I'm like, well, yeah, I do believe that. And I'm like, God has already saved me. I'd totally give God credit for saving me from that aorta. But then my parents praying for me the second time, that wasn't luck, that was prayer and healing. I'd gone from this, I was in hell, and then all of a sudden the truth was revealed to me in the matter of 20 seconds. You're not meant to die. And it was kind of like God slapped me around and said, what are you worried about? Here you are panicking. The paperwork's done, man. You're getting out of here. This is all taken care of. You got years to go. I got a purpose for you. And I woke up. And my brother and sister were there. I look at them, I'm like, come here. Start praying. And that's when everything turned around. It was this decision, this hope came back 100 times stronger. And I had this rock solid titanium promise from God, for God's sake. You're getting out of this. Like there was not a shred of doubt. Like, I've never been so certain of anything in my life. But in that moment, my lowest, I was more certain I've ever been in my life. Cut a long story short, within 4 days I was out of intensive care. My oxygen levels were 100%. I wasn't on a breathing mask. I was walking without a frame. And then within 5-6 days I was out of the hospital. And I can literally trace it to that Wednesday when in my heart and my spirit something turned around, and then my body very quickly followed. And I credit that as the third miracle. When I lost my own hope, when I lost hope in everything else, the doctors, medicine, my body, the only thing that brought me back was my faith in God. So the faith then led to the hope. And once the hope came back, like I said, you can have hope in God. You can have faith in God because He's God, man. He's a good God.